Masaka Farms, the brand, has existed since 2008, but I bought the company in late 2015, early 2016 from the founder. And it had been closed, it had faced some challenges over the years, particularly in like 2013 through 2015. Government of Rwanda shut it down a few times for some food safety issues, I think. And so after it was shut down, I think for the third time, I came and I purchased some equipment, and I purchased the brand from the former owner, and I restarted the business. Yeah. And when we started, we decided that we would intentionally hire from the deaf community in Rwanda. I think that's the focus of your story, right?
That's it.
So actually, the way that we were exposed to the deaf challenges of the deaf community in Rwanda was because there was a little girl named Sandrine, who was about 2 years old, who went into a coma, and she was being cared for by an organization in the area that helps with kids on the street and things like that. And so this little girl, she was very malnourished, and she was very sick, and she went into a coma, and this organization was caring for her, but it was a very sad story. And I was actually living in the US at the time, and when I saw they sent out in a newsletter about this little girl, and when I saw about this little girl, it was a picture of her in a coma. It broke my heart. It just broke my heart. And so I wanted to do something about it. I don't know why. Or I do know why. Because it was God. It was the Holy Spirit. But you see a lot of sad things in this world, right? You see sad things on the news every day.
Yeah.
So why did this break my heart? I think it was just God. It broke my heart for this little girl. And so I said, I need to do something about this situation. So many people in the US were praying for this little girl, and then I came here. I got the chance to come back here in September of 2015, and we kind of did an investigation of her situation, and we met with her mother. And her mother lives in Indera kind of area, and she's deaf, yeah. And we learned that really the reason that Sandrine and her brothers and sisters, she has 4 siblings, so there's 5 kids. They were in this situation because largely owing to the fact that their mother was deaf. Because of that, she was, marginalized and abused in many ways, and that cycle of poverty and that marginalization led to this, her child being, having this problem. So when we saw that, we said, okay, we want to change this. We want to intervene here. And so we started kind of helping the mother, paying for, dropping a bag of rice or, different types of these things, just to help her, because everyone was very malnourished. But ultimately we said, it's not good to just give, because we'll spoil her after some time, right? What she really needs is a job. She didn't know how to read or write. She didn't know how to speak. She didn't know how to sign. She was totally, she had no communication. So it was a very sad situation. had no way of getting a job. She couldn't write her name. She, even with her in her village and with her mother, they were just using very simple like pointing. And this woman's like 30 years old, right? It was very sad to see a woman who was 30 years old. She's never communicated a meaningful sentence in her life. She's been trapped in her mind, right? Like she could probably communicate, I'm hungry, or I want that, or I'll go there. But like to say like, I'm afraid, or, just to say real things.
Want to go somewhere.
Yeah, she can't do it. For 30 years. So it was tragic. And so I said, okay, what she really needs is a job. And at that same time, I was starting this business, and I said I want to hire her. But the reality is, if we just hire her into a business that doesn't have anybody that's facing her same challenges, it's not going to go well. She'll be marginalized and abused in my own company, just like she's marginalized and abused in her village. It'll be the same situation ultimately. So I decided actually what we need to do is we need to start hiring intentionally from the deaf community and create a place where she can thrive and learn, and she can come to understand sign language and have people to sign with, right? Because I think she's the only deaf person in her village. Even if you pay and figure out the transport and send her to some, sign language training program, she comes back home, nobody knows sign language, she has nobody to communicate with, right? So we had to create a community.
So then you started with her, and then hired.
We didn't actually start with her. We started with, I think, 4 others that we hired, and we kept expanding, and then after about 6 months after starting the company, we were able to hire her. So we kind of brought her into an existing...
How many do you have so far?
We have total, the company is 28 employees, and 17 are deaf.
Okay.
16 are fully deaf, 1 is hard of hearing.
Okay.
Our entire production team, except for the production manager, is deaf. So everyone who works in here is deaf. And then we have Parfait. I think he was on the video. He was the guy driving the car.
Yeah.
So Parfait is in our administrative department. And then we also have the one hard of hearing guy is on our sales team.
Okay.
So we've got 15 in production, 1 in administration, 1 in sales.
Okay.
At this point.
Okay. How do you hire them? Have they gone to schools where they learned what you do here?
Sure, it depends. There's a spectrum. So on one side of the spectrum we have Naino, which is the woman that I was kind of telling you about. So she, no schooling, no communication ability when she came to us. Okay. Can't read, can't write, anything. So that's one side of the spectrum. On the other side of the spectrum, one of our staff is attending university.
Okay.
I said, wow, I didn't know they had deaf university here in Rwanda. She says, oh, they don't. I go to a normal university and I read the book and I try to catch what I can. So she, I think when she was growing up, she was able to, her parents were able to send her to a deaf school that was here in Rwanda. I don't know if it's still working here. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. In like Nyamirambo area or something like that, or
there is one in Nyamirambo.
Okay, or maybe it's Gatagata, I don't know.
Catholic owned.
Oh, okay, got it. So so it's a spectrum. So we have Naino, who's 0 education, 0 understanding, and then we have on the other side an employee who's even attending university, and everybody else is somewhere in between those two. So we recently hired several who aren't able to sign. So some of our staff are very good at sign language. Some of our staff don't know any sign language. So those that were here when you walked in, these are our staff that don't know any sign language.
Okay.
So those are kind of like the more vulnerable people often. So we have a partnership with an organization here called UPHLS, Umbrella for Persons with Disabilities in Rwanda, something like that. And they're sponsoring this person from Arnud, Rwanda National Union of the Deaf, Damasen, I think he was in the video as well.
Yeah.
So Damasen comes here, he's sponsored by this project, and he is doing sign language training for our team, yeah.
How are they trained then?
Sorry?
How are they
To do the
trained?
work?
Yeah, to do the work.
We teach them on the job. Yeah. So originally, I knew an American missionary here who was working with a deaf church in Rwanda. So our first hires were introduced to us by her. I asked her, hey, I want to hire the deaf people in Rwanda, and she basically said, here are a few that are looking for jobs, and from, I think, the church that she was ministering at. And after that, I think word just kind of started to get out that there's a company in Rwanda that's hiring the deaf, because I think it's kind of an unusual thing. So I think even when Rwanda TV came, the way that they heard about us was not us looking, it was just kind of, I think, people in the deaf community, they were doing a story on challenges, the challenges faced by people in the deaf community, and through that they heard about us, that there's a company in Free Zone that is hiring the deaf. So I think word has now gotten out, so anytime we have an opportunity, we kind of just tell our staff, hey, we're hiring again, and then people just start showing up, and we hire when we can.
During the process, the factory processing or whatever, they have someone to teach them how this is done and what is the process to,
Yeah, we teach them. I mean, it's just like anything.
Using sign languages?
We use sign language, yeah. So all of us on management, we've learned sign language. None of us knew sign language when we came here, but we've all learned.
Okay.
And we're able to communicate that way. Actually, it's an amazing thing. In this factory now, actually the people who have a difficult time are people who can hear.
Yeah.
Because if, for example, sometimes one of our sales guys if our car is down, then we'll put the sales guy in here to work for the day. And they always struggle because everything is in sign language. So it's a really wonderful atmosphere, because these people, you have to understand, they have been disadvantaged almost in every area of life for their entire lives. Yeah? They're always the one who's disadvantaged, always. They go anywhere, and they're the deaf person, and everybody else can hear. They're like the unique person, right, in the room. But here, actually, the disadvantaged person is the one who can hear, because they can't understand any of the communication. So it's really nice. One thing I love about what's happening here is we've just created an environment where that disadvantage that they've struggled with their entire lives is removed.
Okay. So maybe the last question: how much do they earn a month?
Well, I don't want to talk about salaries, but they earn good salaries. Yeah, I put their salaries up as much as every time I can.
Okay.
My favorite part of my job is working with.
And do they get other trainings from the work that they do here? Do they get other trainings apart from what they get here?
What type of trainings do you mean?
Like processing milk, whatever, doing.
We train them, yeah. Other than our trainings, there's really nowhere they can get trained, because there are very, 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 very few deaf programs in the country, or even internationally, related to process. I wanted to send one of our staff to get trained internationally, but I couldn't find any place that would train her in dairy processing that could cater to someone who's
Are you
deaf.
maybe passing through the National Council for People with Disabilities to do some sort of advocacy?
Yeah, I mean, I think my focus is the focus of my time is running a business. I'm an advocate, but it's not the main thing I do.
Okay.
Really, I see them as they're just people.
Yeah.
And after you get to know them and after you get to understand how to communicate well, they're just people, and actually they're great people. They're really wonderful people.
Yeah. Are they productive?
They're amazing, yeah, they're fantastic workers. They're fantastic workers. They're very smart, they're very capable, and they care about their work. And I think the fact that they've been disadvantaged in their lives has helped them to become people who work hard, and if they get an opportunity, they take it seriously. Yeah, I really love their personalities. I really love building this team, building this family. They're also very committed, I think, because it's a good opportunity.
Okay.
I don't think they can get an opportunity like this where they're surrounded by, others that have faced the same challenges in their lives.
Okay.
So it's created a really wonderful family. We're kind of like a family.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Interesting.
Sure.
And we would like maybe our cameraman to go take a